so this will be a fun one to film because I have a lot of I don't have that many stories to tell.
Tell me, baby, what have I done?
Hey guys, what's up? It's Hannah, and today I had a fun video idea for all of you guys. As you guys know, we're all stuck in quarantine. Don't need to remind you of that. I have been having a little bit of difficulty entertaining myself, as I'm sure a lot of people have. Life can be boring sometimes. So today I am going to be reliving my high school years, telling some dumb stories from high school. Now, just as a forewarning, this video is not gonna be like crazy partying stories. If you're expecting like some rager party stories, I don't have those from high school. College, different. I repressed a lot of these memories, but they're coming back up to the surface today. So honestly, like, let's just get into it. This first story I'm going to call the ghost pepper story. So basically, what had happened was I was at lunch with my friend at the time. I was sitting at lunch with her and a couple guys, like we ended up like, I don't know, we had like our normal lunch spots, you know how people did in high school. This group of guys came and sat over by us and they were just like talking up about how they had a ghost pepper, and literally this was the coolest shit to me. What ended up happening was me and my friend were like, oh my god, you have a ghost pepper? Like, we were so interested. We're like, how did you get that? And this guy was like, yeah, my uncle just like knows a guy, like he has like a pepper guy. I was like, okay, all right, got it, cool, you have a pepper guy, I understand it. So finally we turn around and we're like, hey, can we get some of that? Like, can we have a piece of the ghost pepper? Because I needed to know, you know? And they're like, oh yeah, totally, like grab a slice. So these guys hand us like tiny flecks of ghost pepper. However, the catch was we didn't eat them there. So me and my friend took these slices of ghost pepper and we stuck them in our plastic lanyard, and we're like, we're gonna go back to class and show people that we have ghost pepper slices and we're gonna eat it in class. Brilliant, I know. We go back to class and we just start showing everybody sitting around us. We're like, guys, we have ghost peppers. And like, I don't know if people were as impressed as we were impressed by ourselves. Probably not. So like, not an exciting ending, but we eat the ghost pepper and we died in class. And the teacher walks in, and I loved this teacher, and we were like, it hurt, but we were also overreacting because we were 14-year-old high school freshmen. She was like, what's going on, guys? And we were like, we just ate a ghost pepper, holy shit. It was like ridiculous, but I really thought in that moment that I was like an amazing human being. This next story, this is probably the story from high school that I think about, and it just like gets me just like slightly heated. I was in a musical my junior year of high school, and every year the musical had a cast party after the musical was done. So I was at this cast party and it's kind of like coming to the end of the night, and my parents had basically told me, my parents, they're quite chill people. They hadn't really given me a curfew. They weren't like, hey, be home at this time. They were just like, tell us when you're gonna come home and like we'll be okay. And I was like, great, I'll be home at like midnight, it'll be fine, right? It'll be great. Wrong. So basically it was kind of nearing, like I would say it was getting towards like 11:30 midnight, and I was like, okay, it's time to go. And I knew that my friend's house was like 15 minutes away from the party, and then I would drive like 10 minutes home, so it would like max take me like 25 minutes to get home. So I was gonna drive my friend home, and then his friend, this girl, is like, oh, are you giving rides? Like, I need a ride home. And I was like, oh yeah, totally, like I can give you a ride home. Where do you live? Thinking that she lived like max 20 minutes away. This girl, first of all, I was like, yeah, totally, I'll give you a ride. She didn't tell me where she lived. We got in the car and I decided to drop her off first because she just kind of vaguely said that she lived farther away. And when she said farther away, I was like, okay, maybe she's like max 30 minutes away. And so at this point, I'm starting to realize that my commute is gonna be a little bit longer than expected. So I'm like driving, I'm driving. And me and my friend are like, where are we going? Because we start to realize that we are headed downtown. We hit downtown and I'm like, it's okay, I know how to drive downtown. We keep driving through downtown. We drive out of downtown. Kansas City. And we were in like this empty, like weird neighborhood that like didn't look the safest. Like it's literally me, my best friend, one of my best friends from high school, and her in the back seat. And my best friend was a guy, but I still was like, I don't think that he could handle anything if it happened. Like, no offense, he's a cool guy, but it's just like we're 16 years old. Like we only know so much self-defense. We got there, we got to her house, and I was like, it's okay. Like, I hope you have a good night, blah, blah, blah. At this point, it's like 1:30 in the morning. We had left the party at like 12:20, so it was a nice hour later. But I'm just like freaking out because I was like, what if my parents ground me? Because at this point, I still had to drop him off too. So I was like, well, I'm screwed, really screwed. However, call my parents. They're still awake, by the way. I call my parents. I'm like, hey, it's been a long night. You know, might be a little while before we get home, but we're safe, we're good. And that was fine. They're like, all right, cool, be home soon. And I was like, wow, I love you guys. You're the best. And I got home and it was literally 2:30 a.m. This one honestly doesn't really have to do much with me being stupid, but it's honestly just a story that I've never told and I like really want to tell. So yeah, one time in high school I got stalked. My school had like a solo ensemble competition for choir every year, or it wasn't my school, but it was like all the schools in the surrounding area had like a solo ensemble competition for choir every year. I was in that and I was singing a solo, but I was also singing in an ensemble. And so our ensemble decided to get together and like just hang out like as friends, you know, get to know each other a little bit better. We all ate dinner, it's great, we're having fun. And then as we leave the restaurant, we noticed that this guy is like kind of like, I noticed him just like standing there in the corner as we were leaving the restaurant. He was kind of like standing in the waiting area. And I didn't like notice anything besides the fact that he was there. So we leave, we've gotten pizza, we go to get ice cream, and we leave the ice cream area and we are like standing in this area with kind of like a big fountain. The fountain wasn't running or anything, but we were kind of just like taking selfies, like being teens. Me and one of my friends noticed this. We'll call her like Claire. Me and Claire noticed that the same guy who was standing in the waiting area of the pizza place is like just kind of standing like 10-15 feet away from us on the other side of this like fountain area. And we're like, oh, that's weird, because he wasn't doing anything. It was like he was like basically just like watching us. Like he was very clearly kind of like focusing on our group. We leave the fountain area. We decide to go to Barnes & Noble. We're like, we're gonna go like sit in Barnes & Noble, stand around in Barnes & Noble for a little while. We start walking to Barnes & Noble and this man starts following us. So we decide to just like hide in Barnes & Noble, and the man behind us walks into Barnes & Noble. It's like me and Claire especially, we were freaking out. We were literally holding hands on the top level of this Barnes & Noble, and he was on the downstairs level, so we like bolted up to the upstairs level, and then he went up to the upstairs level, so we bolted down to the downstairs level, and eventually we're like, are we gonna have to hide in the bathroom? Like, we didn't know what to do. And then thankfully our mothers showed up and all was well, but that was freaky. Next up, this one, completely my fault, totally my fault. In high school, I was a part of this club called DECA, and we're gonna just, I don't know what I'm gonna call this story, but I was a part of this club called DECA, which if you guys know what it is, it's basically debate, but like marketing. Fun fact, I went to state all 3 years that I was in DECA. However, my junior year, I got to go to nationals because I actually submitted a project about my YouTube channel at the time. I got to go to Anaheim, California. So I had placed third for my project. So I had to take my project with me to California to present it to a judge. Now here's the sitch. My teacher had literally told me, he was like, yeah, you need to print out a copy of your paper and you need to bring your poster board with you. Like, we had to bring our own copies of the project. However, I only brought the poster board, and I for some reason thought that he was gonna print out my paper and bring it with me, or bring it with him. So I bring the poster board with me on the plane, right? We get on the plane, we're headed to Anaheim. My advisor, my teacher, the chaperone of our trip was like, oh yeah, Hannah, like the competition, I think the first day we didn't do anything, and then the first day we didn't do anything, we went to Disneyland. However, the end of that second day, the competitions were starting the next day and we had to go register our projects. So he was like, oh yeah, Hannah, like you brought a copy of your projects, right? And I was like, oh yeah, like I have the poster board and everything. And he's like, oh, but like you have the paper too, right? And I was just like, well, shit. I had flew all the way to Anaheim, California to compete in this competition where I needed my paper and my poster board, and I only had the poster board. There was no way I was getting this paper to me. Like it wasn't happening. Of course I couldn't tell my teacher yet that I didn't have the paper, because I was like, there has to be some way that I can get this, because I had the file on my Google Drive, thank God. So I'm like Googling furiously like any printing services in like a 10-mile radius. Like I was willing to take an Uber for this shit. In one of the hotels that was like in walking distance from our hotel, because like I said, we were in like this circle of hotels that were like right next to each other across from the conference center. And so in one of the hotels that was in walking distance, there was a FedEx or like a UPS. I don't even remember what it was. It was like a printing, like FedEx kind of place. So I woke up at like 8 a.m. the next morning because I had to register my project, I think at like 10 a.m. or like 10:30. So I didn't have a lot of time to do this, okay? I woke up at like 8 a.m. I got ready. I threw my hair up in a ponytail and I ran to this hotel, and I literally printed out my entire like 40-page paper, and I used my dad's credit card for this because I didn't have a debit card at the time, but I did have my dad's credit card that he gave to me, and he was like, use this in case of emergencies, and I was like, this is an emergency. And also, fun fact, I printed it out from my phone. Thank God it worked, and I didn't place in my competition, but at least I was able to compete, and my teacher never found out. This last story is kind of just like it's not like a stupid story, but like it's not that crazy. My senior year of high school, me and my friend, my like best girlfriend, my junior and senior year of high school, me and my friend, we made friends with these two guys who were a grade below us. So we were seniors and they were juniors. And so we made friends with them, and we actually started doing like a lot of stuff together. We would go downtown together, we would go out to eat together. But my friend's mom was a little strict. So we weren't really allowed to hang out all the time, and basically she like always wanted to know where we were going, and she always wanted her home at like a certain time, which is like understandable. But she basically wouldn't let us hang out on Friday nights. Like she really didn't like her like going downtown a ton. So a lot of times we would just have like car hangouts, you know, like we like me and my friend and then these two guys, we would like get in somebody's car, we'd drive to a parking lot, and we would literally just like listen to music and play games. Like I know it sounds like, oh, you guys did some shit. We seriously did. But my friend's mom like didn't know this. So one night, it was probably like 8:30, 9 o'clock, I don't really know, but it was getting pretty close to the time that she was supposed to be home. So we try to turn on her car won't start, and we're like all freaking out because her mom, one, doesn't really like her like being out like already really that much, but also she didn't really like her hanging out with these guys. Come to find out much later, not the best people. Not only was she gonna have to come to her daughter's car that had broken down, but she was also gonna see that these two guys were like very clearly with us, and like we can't just like kick them out of the car. So we're like flipping shit. We're like, we need to get this car going right now. We're like jiggling everything, whatever. We're literally like furiously Googling anything we can Google to like figure out what is going on with her car. Ultimately, we're like, we need to call your mom. Like we can't figure it out. We don't know what's up with her car. So basically, we called her mom, and her mom showed up and was less than thrilled, to say the least. But basically, the funny thing was, while we were Googling solutions to fix the problem, we had found something that was like, oh, this type of car, sometimes the steering wheel can lock up. I don't know why we didn't try this, but we literally had read that solution on Google. But then her mom, when she gets there, is like, just try to do this and then do this with the steering wheel at the same time, and it turned on her car. Those were all of my dumbass high school stories. Like I said, I know this wasn't like the most rebellious of me being like, oh my god, let's go rage and like drink and smoke, because I just frankly did not do that shit in high school. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to like this video and hit the little notification bell so that you know every time I post a video, because you know, I think they're pretty good. So yeah, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Maybe it was a little change of pace for you guys, some entertainment for your day in quarantine. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!